Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. According to former WWE superstar Maven, he was once approached about possibly replacing Randy Orton in Evolution. Triple H and Ric Flair joined forces with Batista and Randy Orton in January 2003 to form Evolution, the villainous four-man group. Due to injuries to Batista and Orton, WWE shot vignettes with Mark Jindrak as a member instead of Batista. Speaking on that 90s wrestling podcast, Maven recalled how he was considered as Orton's replacement in the stable. Maven won the WWE Tough Enough reality competition in September 2001. He went on to become a three-time hardcore champion before being released from WWE in July 2005. Triple H spoke about the early days of Evolution during an episode of the WWE Network show Ruthless Aggression in 2020. He confirmed that Mark Jindrak almost joined the group as a replacement for Batista, who missed 8 months in 2003 due to a triceps injury. Jindrak once sat alongside Randy Orton during a car ride with Ric Flair and Triple H. The journey was supposed to help the quartet bond before they appeared together on television, but Triple H disliked Jindrak's immature behavior. Ric Flair and Triple H ended up waiting for Batista and Randy Orton to recover from their injuries instead of recruiting replacements. Orton returned from his foot and shoulder injuries in May 2003, while Batista returned from his triceps injury in October 2003. In the world of professional wrestling, few factions have left as lasting an impact as Evolution. Comprised of iconic figures such as Triple H, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, and Batista, the group was billed as the past, present, and future of the wrestling business. However, there was a time when Evolution could have looked very different. During its formative years, there was an opportunity for Maven, an up-and-coming talent with a compelling story, to be a part of this legendary group. Though Maven ultimately did not make it into the fold, his potential to replace Randy Orton in Evolution is a fascinating what-if scenario in the annals of wrestling history. Maven's journey to WWE was far from conventional. Unlike most of his peers, he didn't come through the traditional training routes or regional promotions. Maven's big break came in 2001 when he won the first season of Tough Enough, a reality competition designed to discover the next WWE superstar. His victory gave him an opportunity to train and work alongside some of the biggest names in the industry, a chance few would ever get. Maven was then thrust into the WWE spotlight, where his underdog story resonated with fans. His debut was memorable, with his shocking victory over The Undertaker in the 2002 Royal Rumble match, where Maven eliminated the Phenom, which was a major moment in his early career. This was no small feat. The Royal Rumble is often a star-making match, and Maven's elimination of a legend like The Undertaker was a moment that suggested big things were in store for the rookie. Maven's abilities in the ring were respectable, though not yet polished enough to fully carry a program as a top star. However, his charisma, his backstory of overcoming obstacles, and his genuine likability among fans made him stand out as a potential future star. Yet despite his clear potential, Maven's WWE career would become a series of ups and downs. In 2003, the idea of Evolution came to fruition under the guidance of Triple H and Ric Flair. The faction's purpose was to represent the different eras of wrestling. Flair as the past, Triple H as the present, and Orton and Batista as the future. Each member was positioned to symbolize a different stage in the life cycle of a WWE superstar. Orton, in particular, was pegged as the heir apparent to the throne of WWE, a role that seemed destined for him. His youthful energy, natural athleticism, and connection to the legendary Orton family made him a natural fit for the future of the business. However, the story of Maven's potential place in Evolution could have started even earlier. In the early 2000s, Maven was still in his developmental phase, yet he had the raw ingredients of what WWE was looking for in a future superstar. Much like Orton, Maven was a young, athletic, good-looking performer who had the potential to evolve into a major star. Unlike Orton, though, Maven wasn't yet a seasoned veteran, which put him at a disadvantage in a faction like Evolution, which relied heavily on the guidance and experience of older wrestlers like Triple H and Flair. Randy Orton's tenure in Evolution was pivotal. As a fresh-faced 23-year-old, Orton was positioned to be the future leader of the company, the future World Heavyweight Champion, the man who would carry WWE into the next generation. However, his journey wasn't without bumps. While his in-ring ability was certainly undeniable, he was often criticized for his lack of character depth and his seeming overconfidence early in his career. This sometimes made him come off as too green, and there were rumors that backstage figures in WWE were beginning to see his weaknesses more clearly. Maven, on the other hand, had a unique characteristic that would have made him an intriguing alternative to Orton in Evolution. He was an underdog. The story of Maven, the tough-enough winner who took on and eliminated The Undertaker in the Royal Rumble, presented him as a character fans could rally behind. He wasn't the prototypical jock or second-generation wrestler like Orton. Instead, he was someone who had come from humble beginnings and fought his way to the top. This angle of the underdog made Maven a more relatable figure for fans compared to Orton, whose story was steeped in privilege and legacy. Despite this, Maven's wrestling style was more grounded and less flashy than Orton's, which made him a different fit for the kind of upper-tier talent Evolution was supposed to represent. The faction needed a performer who could match the high-flying nature of the business at the time, and Orton was able to showcase his unique blend of technical wrestling and explosive charisma. Maven, while athletic, was still refining his skills in the ring, and that gap was noticeable when compared to Orton's rapidly improving game. Nevertheless, there was a window of opportunity where Maven could have been inserted into Evolution, even at the risk of shaking up the faction's dynamic. If Maven had been placed in a situation where he was trained and mentored by the experienced members of the faction, he might have grown into a very different superstar than the one fans remember. If Maven had joined Evolution, the dynamic of the faction would have been substantially different, with Ric Flair, the wise veteran, guiding Maven and Triple H helping him hone his skills. Maven could have developed into a far more complete performer than he ultimately became. His underdog persona could have been reworked into a more polished, confident character. Maven was already positioned as someone who was constantly fighting against the odds. But if he had joined Evolution, that story would have been further amplified. He could have been the rebellious underdog who broke away from the tutelage of Flair and Triple H to carve his own path, making his ultimate success that much more rewarding. Moreover, Maven's inclusion in Evolution could have provided a better contrast to Orton's cocky persona. While Orton embraced the role of a privileged second-generation superstar, Maven could have been the raw, hungry competitor, looking for recognition and validation. This contrast would have set up fascinating storylines and feuds between the two, making their eventual showdown more impactful. Ultimately, Maven's career took a different path. After brief pushes and some notable moments, including a brief feud with Chris Jericho and his time as a hardcore champion, Maven never quite reached the heights that many believed he could. His career never materialized into the main event level status that WWE had initially hoped for. Instead, Randy Orton's rise to prominence as a multiple-time world champion and one of the company's most consistent performers cemented his place in Evolution's legacy. While Maven never got the chance to be a part of Evolution, the idea of him replacing Orton is a fascinating what-if scenario. Maven's underdog narrative, his connection with fans, and his determination would have offered a unique dynamic within the group. Had he received the right mentorship and been given the chance to develop under the tutelage of Triple H and Ric Flair, Maven could have carved out a much different legacy in WWE. As it stands, Maven's career was one of untapped potential, a reminder of the fine line between superstardom and missed opportunity in the world of professional wrestling. In the end, Maven might not have replaced Randy Orton in Evolution, but his story remains an intriguing what-if in WWE's history, one that continues to make fans wonder just how far Maven's potential could have taken him in the WWE landscape.